allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to welcome everybody this evening. It's nice to see so many. Could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Bisong.
Here.
Mrs. Furr.
Here.
Mr. Catula.
Here.
Mr. Shelkins.
Here.
Mrs. Singleton.
Here.
Mr. Trzanka.
Here.
And Mrs. Montel.
Here. There are no changes or deletions to our minutes, or to our meeting this evening. Do we have any visitors? Okay. Mrs. Spence, I'll get you first.
Shirley Spence, 1041 3rd Street. I have a question. How long could a vehicle be parked on the street according to code and not moved for how many days?
If it's legally inspected and it's registered, there's no time limit that it could be parked there.
Now, what if they're parked in a zone where it says no parking this side anytime, and also there's another sign right behind it? They're parked over the downspout grate, and also near, almost on top of Mount Blitzen's fence. And I can't get the road swept, and also it's a deterrent to snow plowers. And they haven't moved it for 7 weeks. It is inspected, I checked.
Okay, so again, basically we have a problem down at that end that the engineer went down and said that they weren't going to change the parking situation of how it was. The last time I spoke to Mr. and Mrs. Spence, that was at their request that the neighbor park back there instead of parking legally because it would be in front of their house. So I don't know where else to go from here. Basically, long story short, the vehicle is parked back up against there. It was at Mr. and Mrs. Spence. I went and spoke to them personally because they didn't want the vehicle parking legally right in front of their house. So what I should have done, I should have just allowed them to park it legally and just not got involved. But it's in my nature to try to fix problems. We're trying to make everybody happy. It's impossible to make everybody happy. So therefore, I don't know what else, what more to say.
Excuse me, but we had a choice. Remember the choice?
What was the choice?
He can either park halfway on the street and halfway on his grass. Or he could park
What's that?
in front of Sandy's
It's a
house.
different vehicle. That's not the same guy.
Well,
This isn't the same guy. He's gone with the wind, finally.
Okay,
After 1
well,
year.
good.
After 1 year.
I'll go tell them to park right in front of your house legally.
No.
No problem.
All she has to do is park in her driveway. What is the big deal? She has a driveway.
They're,
How could she park in front of my house when I have a sign that says?
you do have a sign now, and I
Right.
understand that that's what we did for that
Right.
purpose. But you also didn't want it parking on the other side because it was going to be hard to get out of the driveway and stuff. In other words,
They're using my
the
driveway to
police
turn
has
around right now.
exhausted every single, we have no more ability to try to make them happy. I've tried, I've been over backwards.
That's not true.
I don't know what more to do, so
Yeah,
here we
Your
are.
alternatives is park halfway on the road and halfway on their lawn, which is a pigsty to begin with. Or to park against, park on the other side. This is what you told the one with right truck. I had a choice. Or what choice is this?
Yeah, I mean.
There should be no choice when it says no parking this side anytime.
Well, but the engineer went down and did a study and basically told us that the no parking sign that I had put up, and the reason I had it put up was so that emergency vehicles could get turned around. He shot that down, which was completely fine. The sign shouldn't even be there anymore. So
But there's another
technically,
sign at the beginning of the road.
Technically.
In the middle of the road, it says no parking this side
Right,
anytime.
right.
The other street down the other end of 3rd Street, they all obey that.
Right.
They have the same sign as we have down here.
Here's
Wait,
the
only reason
problem.
why
Mr. and
Sandy
Mrs.
started
Spence
parking
chose
there
to
is
buy
the other
a
vehicle
house
parked.
where there was parking on one side. For years and years and years, I've been here for 20 years, There was never a sign on that side, okay? I knew that it was no parking, but in order to just let people live and nobody was complaining, we never put the sign back up. So one woman, not Mrs. Spence, on the street complained, so I get in the ordinance and I see, yes, in fact, there is supposed to be a sign up there. We put the sign back up. The problem with that is that hurts the parking situation because there's nowhere to park on that side. So I tried to put the sign up at the end, honestly, to try to alleviate their problem, but also to get emergency vehicles turned around. When the engineer did the study, he told us, the council I'm sure remembers, that that was not gonna fly and the sign should be taken down anyway.
Why should,
So,
excuse
you
me,
know.
but why should one person, my neighbor's asking me these questions, two of them. Why are they allowed to park on that side and we're not allowed to park?
Well, do you want me to tell you what your neighbors are telling me?
What?
They're telling me that you're the problem. That's the
Oh,
truth of the
really?
matter. That's what they've told me. The other night when I was there,
What
which has
neighbor's
been
that?
about a
Because my
month,
neighbor's right
they
next door.
literally came up to me and said, Mrs.
Dave,
Spence is the
hold on,
problem.
hold on.
So it
But
just is
ra-
what it is.
Rather than go into this
I'm
anymore,
paying
because
taxes here and I can't even have a street that's closed.
Go
ahead,
We
Ted.
understand that. I think we can discuss with the chief what's in the ordinance and what's our responsibility. After that, it seems more like this is more of a civil issue than it is
I heard
a
that
council
before.
issue. Okay, well then, as far as us trying to be fair about the situation, we don't have control over the civil situation. That's something for you to resolve with your neighbors. And if you
Okay,
have an issue with them,
I'm not trying to
that's
resolve
theirs.
this with my neighbor. This is a sign that's up that says no parking on this side anytime. That's all I'm saying. Why is she allowed to park there? And the neighbors are asking me whether the neighbors you talked to or they said something about me.
Why
They
was
wanna
it-
know
why
why
was
they
it
can't park
okay
there
that
also.
the
Well,
other
what
neighbor
we can
parked
My
do-
like
truck's
this?
parked
Okay.
the whole thing.
Well,
I'm sorry, we're not gonna get this resolved tonight. Bottom line, I don't know that there is a resolution to your problem, I really don't. We've had the engineer, we've had the chief of police, I think the mayor's been down there. I don't know what else to
You're
do.
blowing the big thing out of everything. It looks as though I'm blowing everything up. I just want to know, when you let Wright truck park where he did, Sandy right away parked her car. We had 2 cars parked there for a whole month on that side. Everyone's coming down the road, no one could turn around. Where do they turn? In my driveway, they turn around. This is continual, all hours of the night, especially across the street when they're trafficking drugs. That's what
You
they're doing.
chose to
In and out, in and out,
buy
in
a
and out.
house on a street, a dead-end street where there's no parking.
Okay, let's move on.
I'm
Sir,
sorry.
you had something?
Yes, I'm Bob.
Please take the podium.
So what I have to say.
Name and address, please.
Bob Klaus, 1140 Callinger Drive. I'm here tonight with my wife Amy. We're building a home. We've lived in Baden our whole life, but now we're moving just across the line to Economy. And Baden has water there on Phillip Street for us. We're trying to figure out a way to get water up to our residents, because we brought water down curbside as was expected, and then now I was told that I'm responsible for everything else, to tap underneath the road and tap into the main water line. My understanding is curbside was all I needed to do. But I understand it's a state road, but apparently Baden doesn't have the tools or knowledge to tunnel under the road for our water.
Do you, does anybody
I
know?
don't think we have the, what do they call it, the bullet or
It's a
something?
boring tool.
I don't think we have one of those.
Well, I mean, they had it back in the day. I mean, all the homes that are on the roads now, you know.
They just dug the streets up,
Well, yeah.
you know.
Well, I was concerned because I was told to put the meter pit on someone else's property. And you can't do that unless it's in a right of way, because now they're trying to peg me for the responsibility of the water line under the road, which I didn't think was really fair, because everybody else, I guess, is grandfathered in because their water line's been there for 80 years. But if their water line goes, how does Baden fix it?
If it's a service line, we're only responsible at the main.
From main to meter pit. The
No,
borough's
I
responsible.
think, once we do the tap, anything from the tap towards your house is your responsibility.
Meter pit to house is my responsibility.
No, from our line, from our main to your house is a service line.
See, the other utilities that I've been dealing, well, we don't have sewage there, we did septic, gas. They're responsible from their line, and they go 150 feet up into my property if I'd like so.
Okay.
But I put the meter further up the house, so, but they're still taking care of the tunneling, the boring, you know, they get the permit. I can't get the permit as a homeowner. So I was depending on Baden Borough to get the permit through PennDOT, because that's the only way it can be,
So, do we know about that, Elaine?
No, I was getting bits and pieces of this. I think.
Could you call Mattsy's office tomorrow and
Yeah, did you try calling Representative Matsey regarding the getting permission to go across the state road?
well, PennDOT is the.
Yeah, but Representative Matsey can help us out on that sometimes.
See, I wasn't aware.
No one told you.
No, and I've been trying to reach out.
I didn't talk to
Somebody-
you, so I'm sorry.
I did talk to you a little bit.
But yeah, but I didn't know about that part, so.
That, yeah. I mean, I was just trying to look for answers, and I really wasn't getting them. And I actually brought this up 2 years ago, hoping, you know, there would be some type of resolution to this point.
is Tony coming tonight or not?
I thought he was, that's why I didn't, he didn't tell me.
Our engineer's not here. He could probably help us with this, but he's not here yet.
Well, I think it's a cost issue also, because you're in a county borough, we gave you the okay to tap into our line, and the tap-in fee is just for us to open up that area of the ground where you would connect. That wouldn't cover the cost of digging under the street and everything else. That's not what the tap-in fee is for. It's just to expose the pipe so that you can connect to our main line.
But, I mean, is there any are there any contractors that you use? Does this happen anywhere else in the borough?
This is the first time for this, not since I've been here, maybe
Well, that's-
20 years.
I don't know,
Plus all the
I
streets
can't
are run by
remember
us.
anybody wanting to cross the state road for
Yeah, for water.
That's,
Well, I
I mean,
mean,
most
like-
of our roads, you know, they just dig across it and,
Or you'll dig them up
yeah,
to do it.
they'll dig the road, they'll dig.
I mean, I see it 989 Ridge Road, I mean, it's economy, water, Amber's Water takes care of that, they bore under all day long.
Because they're their own water authority,
Yeah.
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 Well, I was just hoping there'd be a little more support from the borough.
Does Elaine have your information?
I do not, the building inspector does, but
If you could give her your phone number and stuff, we'll check with our engineer and see if we can't get a hold of Matsy
I'll call you tomorrow.
and see what we can figure out on how to get the permit to do that.
Okay. I appreciate it. I mean, because we're, like I said, I brought this up about 2 years ago. We're about 4 weeks away from moving in.
Okay.
And, you know, we need water,
We need water, yeah.
you know.
Well, we'll,
Where would that pit be at? Would that be on Economy's property or Baden's
No.
property?
It is economy, I am the line.
He's
I'm
the
split.
one, the pit, though.
Well, is that something that's complicating this?
No, I mean, just so you know, when he originally asked for this, I contacted Economy Borough and Ambridge Water Authority because of the fact that we're supplying water from Baden to a non-resident. So I pulled all of them in, so Economy and Ambridge Water Authority, confirmation from Ambridge that it
Yes.
could not supply you with water, and included Economy since he lives in Economy, and they were all fine with him tapping into our thing. And we just took it as you're gonna pay your tap-in fee and you're gonna connect right there. We didn't realize that PennDOT was
Across
there.
the, well, it's across the other side of the road. is the
Yeah.
problem. You know, PennDOT's not the issue. They'll issue the permit, no problem. And I think it's not even a.
So they'll issue the
cost
permit to
of-
you?
No.
They'll issue the permit to us?
Yes.
well, then let's see if Tony
And you're
can-
willing to pay the fees for all this, obviously?
Well, I'm assuming I'm going to absorb all
Okay.
now, because I didn't
Okay.
realize everything that goes into
We'll
getting
talk
it done.
tomorrow. We'll talk and see what we can go with this, and I'll let
Yeah.
council know.
Yeah, we'll try and help you out. We'll try and get a hold of Matsy and see what we gotta do to get the permit and our engineer.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We'll hear from you
Okay.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else this evening?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jerry Crease. I'm from Wayne Street, the 300 block. First thing, we had our block party at the beginning of October. I just wanted to thank the chief for helping us set that up in the road crew for the barriers. We all had a great time. I was here a couple months ago inquiring about speed bumps for my part of Wayne Street. You guys had said that would probably be the best solution. I got a petition for all the residents on the street, and I just wanted to submit it tonight and then find out where we go from there.
We got the information from the solicitor about doing speed humps. So now we have to get the engineer involved to do a traffic study, and that's where we're gonna be for both Virginia and Wayne Street.
Sure.
Because the engineer we can't do the traffic study, the engineer has to do the traffic study.
As far as the traffic study, what does that involve? Does that involve like,
You know what, honestly, I think it's counting cars,
yeah,
but I don't know, I was hoping.
it
Tony would
doesn't
be
count
here
like
to-
speed or anything like that, or?
I don't know, I mean, I'm hoping Tony shows up so we can get that information,
Okay.
but we're gonna authorize the engineer to do traffic studies tonight.
Okay.
And, get that moving ahead. Now, we did find, I believe Chuck's the one that told me about the bolt-in speed humps.
Right.
And I just saw the city of Pittsburgh just did that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna have him research that too and see what kind of cost we're looking at.
Yeah, that
instead
might
of-
be an idea.
Instead of paving, and
Yeah.
we could just slap these things down and bolt
And then
them.
if you get it under control, you can maybe remove them. at some
Exactly.
point, So,
Yep.
Uh,
yep. But
Did you
that's all I
get,
got.
how many signatures did you get?
Oh, I don't
Whole
know.
street,
The whole street?
The whole street?
19.
All except for 2 houses that are up for sale and they're not living there.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so
I
you
don't know
got
where-
everybody, the whole street, they got 100%.
Oh,
Because that's the other
great.
thing, is you have to,
That's
have
great,
a
that's
percentage
good.
of how many people
What's
on the
that?
street. You have to have a certain percentage of the people who live on that street want.
Yeah, I got all but 2 houses.
That's
Two
great.
under. So, yeah, I just wanted to submit that tonight and go from there.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you. Is there anybody else? Did you have, wait, 1 second, Mr. Costello.
He answered some of it. Like before, I did have a count of how many goes past my house, probably more than on Main Street of Baden. Like I told you before, you check the records, I think in an hour's time, I had 93 cars go past my house.
Did you also get a petition?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Everybody on the street, and they're always asking me every other day, where's our bumps, where's our bumps?
Well, we're gonna start that ball rolling, Chuck.
Okay.
Mr. Costello?
Yeah, last year I brought up about that duplex built on Berry Street, that they haven't paid taxes. All they're paying taxes is just for the property, not the structures. They haven't paid since 2016. When I was down in the courthouse, I questioned them, and they said, we have to send an appraiser out. Who appraises the property?
County.
County.
When are they gonna do it? It's been over a year. And all they're paying on is just the property, not the structure. That's 4 years.
Wouldn't they have the
Assessment.
completed building permit by now?
Yeah, that should have already been submitted, so I can't, like, look at myself, but then I'll lose my reporting.
It's also saying that was built in 2018 on here, Joe.
Built on 2016, 17, 18, and 19.
Okay, well, I'm saying it shows here your bill was 2018.
Yeah, it says you're built
You see
2018.
it? I mean, you can hand me this paper. Up on about second row down where this blocked, under characteristics, second column down, or second row down, first column. Your bill that says 2018.
It was
So,
built in 2018, it was built in 2016.
That's when the ground was broke.
That's a mistake.
okay, and who told you this? This was actually the office up there? The assessment
I was
office?
at the courthouse. They said they have to send an appraiser out. All they've been paying on is the property, not the structure. That's a duplex.
It showed a market value of, land value 5,500, market value 76.7. So I don't know what, I can't make
That
it,
would be half, right?
I would think, or, Certainly the property's not worth 76.7 by itself.
No, it says the land's 5,500.
Says the land's 5,500. Property 70.
How much is he paying a year from this?
It's not gonna show you on there. I don't know what that is.
I couldn't bring it up on here, I tried.
They're not, from what I understand, and I might be wrong here, but remember there was the house there.
Yes.
He tore down the house, built a duplex. I don't think the county, well, I know they did, they probably didn't reassess it as a duplex. They're still taxing it as though it was that single dwelling home. That's what that sounds like without me looking at that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of homes, like even when houses are sold, if you're paying taxes now an assessed value of 30,000, but you bought the house for 180, they don't change the taxes. You're still paying taxes on an assessed value of 30,000.
But I would think the new building permit would override that.
I don't know. Well, he got the answer. They said they need to come out.
I
and
would
assess
think
it.
so too, Dave.
So-
I would think that that would be the,
I can call now. I
Yeah.
can call now.
we're gonna check into that.
Do you need this copy?
Yeah, that has the personal number in it.
Is there anybody else? If not, we'll continue on. Minutes,
I make a motion to accept the October 9th and 16th minutes as presented.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Bills to be paid,
Motion to pay bills. Two signatures.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. There are no resolutions or ordinances or bids this evening. There's also no correspondence. We'll go right into committee reports. John?
Okay, general fund balance, $185,649. Expenses, $156,624. Water fund balance, $428,237. Expenses, $66,767. Okay, at this point, we're gonna make a motion regarding the salaries. Do we still want to?
I believe what we're gonna have to do in that situation, it's going to have to be a voluntary thing. We're going, one of our things, cut expenses this year. When we were meeting the other night, we decided that we would cut salaries to council members. The mayor also agreed to this by half. This, I was informed this evening, is not allowed without a two-year notice. So what we're going to do is have a voluntary roll call on salary cuts. That's one way to resolve this. So I need a motion to
Okay, motion to request voluntary cuts to the salary.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Let's do roll, we have a no vote. Roll call, please.
Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call here, by individual to cut your own personal salary for 2020 by 50%. So yes or no, Mr. Bisong,
No.
Mrs. Furr,
Yeah.
Mr. Katula,
Yes.
Mr. Shelkins,
Yes.
Mrs. Singleton,
Yes.
Mr. Trzanka,
Yes.
and Mrs. Montel.
Yes. And that would also include.
Mayor Gagliardi would like to be
Mayor.
included. Mayor Sam Gagliardi.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, that concludes that.
Yep, we'll make those adjustments the first of the year.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to advertise the proposed 2020 water fund and general fund budgets for a 10-day review.
Second.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, a motion to advertise the tax ordinance with an increase of 3 mills for the 2020 tax year.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Can I address that somewhat?
Yes.
One reason we cut our salaries, and we did look really hard at the expenses, and I've got to be honest, no one here is happy about this. This year we got smashed. We had a sinkhole that ended up costing us about $131,000 on Bowman Avenue. Our workman's comp is increasing about $40,000. And that's just two items. You know, things go up. It's not something we're taking lightly through this entire year. As I said, we're going to look at everything really hard. We have to. We're hoping that we'll have somewhat of a cushion for next year, but you know, there's a lot of things you like to have and things you want to have, and at this point, we're really looking at this real hard. We're not taking this lightly. I don't want anybody to think we don't. But to give everybody an idea, but I'm sure this is a question people have. Our average value, assessed value in Baden is $24,000. Now, of course, you know that's only half of what the value is, but just to tell you how much of an increase this could be. An average with the 3 mil increase would raise your taxes $72 a year. Again, that's, I understand that some people that's a lot of money, but I don't know what things people want to give up here. I mean, we're trying to do what we can, and I'm doing it with a clear conscience, but a heavy heart. And I think that goes for everybody here on council. But I did want to make that clear that, you know, we're not taking this lightly. And I thank you for letting me add that.
Thank you, John.
Yes.
Public safety, Ted.
After reviewing the civil service rules and regulations, it looks like everything was good, so I'd like to make a motion to have the Civil Service Board review the updated regulations.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ted, they have to accept them and then send it back to us to accept them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just,
I was just trying to make it.
well, I
simple.
just saw the next line and,
That's why I said until, in
Yeah.
accordance with the new updates, yeah.
okay,
Right.
all right.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
One of the things we've been talking about since we had one of our last officers retire, we have pushed around for a long time whether we want to hire a fourth officer and move forward with this. Looking at our overtime and how much we vest and how much the surrounding towns are having the same struggles with part-time officers, and it's still the problem we're having, as Dave can attest to, that you know we're spending a lot of money with these part-time officers, and then they find full-time somewhere else. So we spend a lot of time training and investing, and you can't get that time back, nor are we getting the money back that we're spending for them. In addition to that, it's so shorted that we end up getting to a point where we spend overtime on part-time employees, and that can't go for, it can only go for so long before you're actually forced to end up giving them part or benefits anyway. So we've done a lot of thought, we put a lot of thought into this, we've done a lot of work, and at this time, you've seen some of the changes we made with the budgets to try to move some things around with our cuts, and including the mayor, to try to get through to this. And with that said, I'd like to be making that motion to move forward with this. So with that said, I'd like to make the motion to authorize the Civil Service Board to start the testing and interviews for a full-time officer in accordance with the new updates.
There's Mr. B-Song seconded. All those in favor say aye.
No.
No. Opposed?
Post.
I wanted to have a little discussion.
Sure, go ahead, Bob.
We just raised taxes 3 mils. How are we gonna pay for this guy after this year? I don't wanna hire a guy and then have to lay him off because we are $500,000 from maxing out the budget. And I don't think it's fair to any guy that we hire to work him a year and then say, sorry, we're out of money.
As we discussed in our meeting, a full-time officer with everything going through, with the civil service board and everything this has to go through, you're looking at 6 to 8 months.
I know, and.
And the
budget-
testing that gets done is
The
good for a
budget is
year.
so extremely tight, we are banking on no more sinkholes,
That's-
no more sewer breaks, no more water breaks.
And
I personally don't feel comfortable. I don't think it's fair
That's my
to
concern.
the guys that are gonna apply for this job. And once we hit that $500,000, once, we can raise it $500,000 next year if we have to. And then we're done. We have to go to the voters and to the court to do it. And I just don't think it's, I think we need to look at all our options before we
I agree
bring
with
a
that.
guy
to a
on,
point.
and then we can't pay him after a year.
I agree with that to a point, and my point is that we spend money to do things around here that we need. To keep the borough safe, and to do things that we need to do, and to not exhaust the current help that we have with the 3 officers. We've already seen it when one officer has to go out unfortunately for some issue. Now you're putting strain on 2 officers, and while you're already trying to find part-time help to begin with. And it's done. If you want to keep these guys here that we have, I'm sure you might have 1 or 2 that may stay, but you have a third who probably has no reason to want to stay if this continues like this, because you're going to completely exhaust
and I
everything.
understand what you're saying, and
So-
last week we discussed possibly looking at consolidation or.
And that doesn't mean that in 6 to 8 months after we do this testing, it doesn't say here that we are
I know,
bound
but
and
in all honesty,
by
that's
getting
a
that
false
off.
hope. We're gonna test,
That's right.
and then we're gonna leave these guys hanging. You know,
We want to change the motion,
well, no, I mean,
we don't have to change the motion
you know,
because in
I
6
just
to
wanna make sure that everybody knows that
I'm just worried
after
about the
next year, we
unforeseen.
don't have the money. We don't
Yeah.
have the money.
There's many things that can happen in this community. Where are we getting the funding for all this? We can't raise them much higher.
I agree, we
Yeah.
probably need the 4th full-time officer, but
I
I
mean, look how
also
many things
think
just happened this year that caused us to
it's
have to
time
raise
to
them.
look at,
okay, but we're not shutting down.
If I could have 4 police officers, I would.
Okay, we all have things we have to
Yeah, I
concern
know, it's an ideal
ourselves with that
situation.
might be unforeseen.
Well, that's the ideal situation to have 4 officers, but we don't live in an ideal world, that's the only thing. We're
No,
in a
we-
world that has ups and downs.
would either of you guys be happy knowing that we might not have the money next year to pay?
Well, actually, that's not how it works, Dave. In the contract, you would have to lay off every part-timer before a full-timer could be laid off. That's number one.
I know.
Number 2,
But we lay off the part-timers and then,
We don't have nobody.
so, and that's the way it is, and that's the choice that
I
you have
just
to
don't
make.
want, I just don't wanna hire a guy that we can't,
I
we
mean,
can't
here's the
support.
bottom line, I'm just gonna lay it out again for the 100th time. We're exhausted. We can't continue to work. I'm scheduled 3-4 hours or 12 hours of overtime in December. I don't wanna do that. I'm older in the career, I wanna spend time with my kids. If somebody gets hurt, I got hurt on the job. These guys killed themselves just to keep your police department afloat. It's not fair. Here's another example. You know, myself and the mayor have talked about it. You have a road worker retire, or I'm sorry, leave. Within a month, you hire another one, so they're not shorthanded. You didn't hire a part-timer or 3. You went ahead and gave that man a full-time job and gave him benefits and everything else. I'm not here to argue. Nobody wants to raise taxes. The police department is exhausted. There's no part-timers out there. This isn't the day when we started, when they were lined up and you had good
I'm not
people.
disputing that, it's the
But who's
budget.
gonna work, Dave?
I understand that.
We had a part-timer work over 100 hours in a pay period.
I understand, Dave.
And that's only one of them.
Again,
We can't
what
build
do
a
we
schedule,
do when
Dave.
what do we do when we don't have the money to pay this
Well,
guy?
let me ask you this question. I called the mayor first, the mayor had me call John and Ted. I could not fill November and December schedule, couldn't fill it. The only reason that I filled it is Doug Edgel, who works a full-time job, took like 9 or 10, 12-hour days. Jason Sang, who works a full-time job in Ambridge, took about the same as a favor to me because we literally could not fill the schedule. And this may be an opinion, but my opinion is these folks pay taxes to have public safety. We do our best to give the best service we can. I think that the council needs to give me the tools in which to do it, and I don't feel as though, since Jack retired, that we have had the tools. We have managed as best we can. We're out doing everything we can. We need a full-timer. We need a full-timer. There's no way around it.
I'm not disputing that, Dave, but we just raised taxes 3 mills, okay? And listen, that's not actually even gonna cover the whole thing.
Well, let me ask you this, Dave.
So we still have to watch our pennies, and like I said, I don't wanna get into a position where we gotta lay the new guy off.
Well, it wouldn't work that way. But with that being said, here's my question to council, and I'm saying this with all due respect. Where were these discussions when we spent this money on a fire truck? Where were these discussions when we bought a new street sweeper when we probably could have borrowed Harmony Township? This isn't my business. My business is keeping this town safe, and I think I do a pretty good job at it. But where was the uproar about the money being thrown out then? But it's every time that the police need something, not something, because you guys equip us properly, but not with manpower. When I started here, we had 5 full-timers, including the chief. We are now down to 3 full-timers, and the crime is way higher now than what it was and when I started in 2000. So how is it that
Dave, all I'm
Conway
saying,
has 1,700 people, they got more staff than us. Harmony Township, they have 3 more full-timers than what we have. If somebody gets hurt,
I'm not disputing that, Dave.
we're not going
I
to be
just
able to
want you
fill this
know
schedule.
that the budget is tight.
I understand it, Dave, and I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. I wouldn't want to be up there. I'm not that guy or person to try to figure out. I'm just telling you that if you want the police service to continue for what these folks are paying taxes for, we need the tools in which to do the job. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, 1 second here. Mayor Gagliardi has a comment.
Just looking at the budget as we did on Monday night, the big deficits, if we see here, is $185,000.
No, no,
Full-time.
no.
Yeah,
that's right, yeah.
No, you're
103.
103. You're at the wrong budget. I think you got the wrong.
Is there a new one?
Yes, yes.
Okay, there's another new one, Mayor.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Things are bad, not that
all
bad.
right, that's 103,000
103,000.
in the red. Then we have the overtime was 15,000, unless that's wrong. Then we have salary part-time police, 52,000. You add that up, and that's quite a bit of money. What I'm thinking, a police officer would just swap with the part-timers.
That's
And-
what that column is.
Well, that's what that column is, Mayor.
What do you mean?
Right now, we've spent 112,000 on part-timers.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So we cut it in half.
We did
So-
cut it.
Okay, what I'm saying, with a full-time officer, it would replace, we have 5 part-timers. One of them is only available 1 day a week. The one officer, I feel sorry for him. He's almost close to.
Yeah, we cut the part-time, salary.
So what I'm saying, it's just a flip-flop. That's where the money is. It's not an increase. It's probably a decrease.
Sir, you had a comment.
Yeah, so as far as paying the extra taxes, pay the taxes. I would rather have it for
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seriously. I mean, come on. Let's face it. These guys are busting their asses.
I'm not disputing that
But
fact.
here's where I'm going with this. How many empty lots or business potential could you put a new business in this borough, okay, to raise your taxes, to offset your money? I'm a businessman. Come on. There's the money right there. I mean, add a couple companies in here. Bring some businesses. There's empty lots. There's plenty of buildings in this area that can be torn down, I mean, there's a Dollar Tree, for God's sakes, that just got put up.
Yeah, but that's not ours.
That's not ours.
It's close enough. I mean, you know, we gotta have some kind of mindset that says,
We'd love
you
to.
know,
We were kind of
I agree
landlords.
completely, and I agree with
businesses
them, but a borough.
$72 to me, I'll pay it. I don't
But
care.
a borough in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is only allowed to have their taxes at 30 mils. So with this tax increase, we're gonna be at 29.5.
I mean, Ambridge is the
So,
highest in the
so
county.
next year,
And for what?
well, the school districts are different. So next year, if we have to raise taxes, we can only raise a half a mil without going to the courts. And I don't wanna hire a guy,
Well,
and then
as
the
the
court,
taxpayers-
and then the court
as
says.
the taxpayers, send out a vote.
And then the court says, no, you can't raise taxes. What do we do?
I understand everything you're saying, Dave, but
I'm just putting it out there.
I know, and I
Put it out there,
respect you for
but-
that,
Yeah,
I
Let's
do.
be honest with
But the
ourselves.
motion is on the floor,
Absolutely.
that we hire a new police officer. I had a second. There was a discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I said aye. I just don't know
Okay.
where we're gonna get the money.
Motion carried, we're getting a new police officer.
Roll call.
Roll call,
Very good, thank you.
roll call.
We gotta go through a roll call, so hold on. So this is to go ahead forward with hiring a full-time officer. Mr. Bisson,
Yes.
Mrs. Furr,
Yes.
Mr. Catula,
Yes.
Mr. Shelkins,
Yes.
Mr. Trzanka,
Yes, with reservations.
Mrs. Singleton, I'm sorry.
I
Mrs.
reluctantly have to say no at this time.
Okay, Mrs. Montel.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, one no, motion
It's
carried.
moved, second, passed.
Finally, after 3 years, we finally got it.
Not yet. You get the civil service stuff done.
Anything else under that committee, Ted?
No.
Okay, you want to go on to building, property and grounds, anything there?
No, not at this time.
I've been trying to get some help with the demolition of a residential structure. So I called Matsy, referred me to the county. I talked to the gal, she was a student of mine at Center, so I had an in. She says, gee, I said, can you give me some 5,000 for tonight? She says, I can't do that. She said, you should have been here 3-4 months ago, you would have the 5,000. So what I'm suggesting here, she says, if you fill out, I guess, an application and send it in, she says, funds would probably be ready next year. So for this year, there's nothing we could do with the $5,000 that we're gonna tear down a structure.
There's a big difference there. We budgeted,
Go ahead. I was gonna,
okay,
go, you answer, I'm sorry.
we budgeted $5,000, I believe, for
We have
a
money,
tear
we
down.
already have 6,500.
We already had money budgeted.
Yes.
You understand, if we do it, that property reverts back to Baden. Now you have your empty lot.
That's not
If-
quite correct. We can lean the property.
We'll lean it, eventually it'll be ours, put it
If we
this
do it the
way.
same way you're talking about, Mayor, and my God, I still hear about that at least once a month.
Yeah, if the
You know
county
what the
does
other
it,
property
he gets
was.
it back.
We ended up, we cleaned the lot off for the man, made the property perfect, and it cost him absolutely nothing, and now he's sitting there with a lot
beautiful
better
piece of
shape than it
property.
was before, and the people of the town have spoken to me
No.
plenty of times saying, no, don't do that again.
No, what I'm trying to say, there's money out there. We just
Yes.
have to go after it.
Exactly.
Right, but that
We're
also
not-
comes with the
With that
caveat that you're
stipulation.
gonna have
Well,
to let that go back to somebody in better shape. What that does, to me, that's a Pavlov's dog. We're gonna teach them to respond. When that bell rings, you're gonna get fed. So if you just keep fooling around and don't take care of that building, we'll finally tear it down for you and improve the lot for you, and it costs you absolutely nothing. I'm not for that at all. I will never,
I will-
as long as I am sitting here, I will not vote for that.
Neither
You
one.
can be assured of that, because I've heard enough about the other one. And I'm glad that building's down, the other one, but that was one hell of a way to do it. And people have told, I still hear about that at least once a month from somebody. But I appreciate your input on that, but I think that comes with a heavy price to us. And this isn't a building that would
And that,
cost us $40,000 to tear it down. And we do have the money already budgeted on the side.
And that money you're talking about is also taxpayers' dollars that comes out of the county. And what makes me really upset over this whole deal, we literally improved that property for this person. That property is worth so much more since we tore the building down, and we get absolutely nothing for it, nothing. Tax
No
dollars.
additional taxes and never build anything on it, so
So it's sitting there. So it's a no-win situation with that.
Which property are we talking about?
The school.
The school, the old school.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was a heck of a deal for the owner.
Right, right.
I grabbed those deals all day long if I could, but that's not a prudent thing for, in my opinion, that's not a prudent way to go. I'm sorry.
And I agree. Okay. Nothing on that, Ted. Public Works, Dave.
On last Wednesday, Dave brought up about the parking on North Avenue. So at this time, I'm gonna make a motion that the solicitor fix the ordinance on North Avenue, so it's no parking the whole way up. There's a couple blocks, there's no parking, then you're allowed to park, and then there's no parking again, so, and of course, people are taking advantage of parking.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And then, we're gonna make a motion to have the engineer to start the traffic study for speed humps.
Yes.
For Wayne Street between
Wayne.
Johnson and Linmore
Right.
and Virginia Avenue from 65 to 6th Street.
Can I say something,
Mhm.
Dave? These being humps or bumps, you have a choice between the two. It's very popular now throughout our region. It's fine that these residents want a bump or a hump in front of their resident, that's fine, and you should go ahead with that. What I'm saying here is that we probably better have a policy on a hump or a bump, so that once this gets out, everybody in town, every street was gonna want a hump or a bump.
He's right.
So what I'm saying,
The solicitor gave us the information, you still have,
But
Yes,
all
yeah.
it takes is one child. That's it. One child to get killed.
well,
And that's-
I agree
that's
with you,
the
but I'm
problem.
saying,
And that's the reason why we're here to present that.
sure, that's not a
I mean,
problem.
people speeding up and down our roads. is not
and the
acceptable.
engineer will have to make the determination whether it's
Feasible, exactly.
allowed or not allowed. We have the guidelines from PennDOT, now he has to do the study to see if it's even,
Well, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine that you're going to accommodate this resident, but we better have something in place for the next residents, North Avenue. Or
Yeah, they'll just revert.
It's already set up.
set up like that.
yep.
Okay.
Second that, because I didn't hear,
Second.
I didn't hear who made the second of the motion.
Okay. We already got a,
I didn't hear it, so that's why Ted just told me. No, good.
anything else, Dave?
Nope, that's it, nothing on the municipals.
Library, Sue? Nothing. Community Relations and Recreation, Dawn?
Yes, Santa will be on a fire truck in the town on December 13th from 6 to 8, so if you have children, be time to be out for Santa, so that's all I have to report.
December 13th.
So December 13th,
Do you have a time on it?
6 to 8.
6
Can
to
you
8?
remind me or you to put that on Facebook, please?
Yes.
Yeah, 6 to 8.
That's it, Dawn.
Mhm.
That's
I think,
it.
going to the court on Friday about the electric up in the park, let you know what happens after we get there.
Yeah. On the
Yeah,
park, on the
yeah,
electrician.
Yeah.
That's,
Electrician.
Yeah, with the electric.
yeah, we're gonna all show our faces that day. Administration and legislation, Bob, do you have anything this evening?
No, other than, I guess we have to wait till spring to get this thing settled out here.
I believe that was a weather-related thing now.
Yeah, the second coat, it has to wait till spring.
That's pitiful.
Okay, there's no report from the solicitor or the engineer this evening. But the engineer did have
Yeah, that's his written
things.
report.
Would you go over those, Elaine, please?
I mean, The USDA grant loan application, it's still in the review process, and that's in the review process on the USDA side. Everything's been submitted, we're just waiting to hear from them. The Berry Street Waterline Loop grant, the contractor is still working to complete the punch list, and will still need confirmation from PennDOT that the final pavement restoration is adequate before they close the project. McDonald's, if you're not aware, for those of you who are here, they're gonna be tearing down McDonald's completely and building a new one. So we're probably gonna be McDonald's free for, I think they said 3 months.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like nonstop. So they're building, it's one of the biggest McDonald's that they build structure-wise. It's gonna be kind of amazing.
It'll be a double drive-through, that's
Yeah,
what.
double drive-through.
We did don't hit that. Wow.
They're gonna hire more
There's your
employees.
taxes,
But
right there.
Anyway, the land development plans
That
were
extra
submitted
drive-through
and
is
reviewed.
gonna cost
Yeah.
them.
TV screens, everything. So that's that. And then the 2019 paving project, we actually have the documents signed here. I brought them for him, but he's not here, so I'll have to know them to him.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thanks, Elaine.
You're welcome.
Mayor Gagliardi?
Just on our service calls for the last month, and this is another part of the formula for our officers. They had 394 calls. There's one person on duty for each 12 hours. Now, this takes up, sometimes a write-up in the computer may take a day or an hour or a week. So this ties up our officers quite a bit when they have to come back and fill out a report. The fines that came in was a total of $949.85. Now here's what happens. So let me show you. This person gets a citation of $25. And this person pays $2.28 a month. This person pays 32 cents a month. Okay?
No, that can't be right.
That's what it says.
At least you could pay for it.
This person pays $3.54, $12.50. So it varies. Sometimes some people will pay the entire citation, others will pay so much each month. So that's why that figure varies so often. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
But the least I can pay is
Sam,
that pill,
What?
that pills officer.
Oh, for the information to our community, we now have a pill dispenser out here that if you have some old prescriptions that you want to.
It's a depository, not a dispenser. It's a depository. We're not getting in that business.
Honestly. So if you have some old prescriptions, just drop them off here.
No liquids though. They'll only take bottled aspirins, vitamins, any type of pill. You can't. And as a matter of fact, it just got picked up the other day. The county comes in, 2 people comes in, they weigh it, we have to sign off on it. So it's all.
Sure was county.
Yeah, they actually put the person too. They had the key. They had the key.
So, okay, the only
No
thing,
needles.
is there anything else, Mayor?
That's all.
Okay.
And we just want to thank council for the support for a new officer. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The only thing I have this evening is under the zoning board. We've had a person that was on the zoning board move. So I have asked Mr. Steuben if he would take this person's place because we need somebody on that board immediately because they're meeting next month. It's regarding Concordia, and he knows the background on it. So what I do need is a motion to accept.
And that's just for the balance of this year.
It's only for the balance, although you never know what happens. You might be stuck forever.
I make a motion to accept Michael Steuben for the zoning hearing board.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do we have any old business to come before us this evening?
Dave, did you get any info on that?
Well, Jack said the same thing that the engineers, that Vericom's engineer said, but when I told him how much, because they were gonna put an antenna on the roof too that would go all the way down through.
Okay.
And that's what he suggested, but that was what cost all that money.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to try a different provider, meaning somebody different than Vericom. I wouldn't know who to go to.
Can you try a different route, or does it have to be that way?
That's what the engineer told us that it had to be, because they couldn't put a repeater in.
Can you still get the car repeaters? If you have the car repeater and you just have UHF-HT, when you have the car parked outside, the UHF-HT will reach the car and then the car will get shoved to the conduit system.
So what, would it be a different frequency, Jack?
Yeah, that's what they used to use on the car. They have a small in-car repeater for people when they have officers out in the middle of nowhere, where the HT don't have enough power to get all the way back to dispatch. The car radius is normally 100 watts.
Well, Jack, he said it wasn't that it was the range, it was a dead spot in the building.
Well, a UHF will penetrate that building much better than VHF.
All right, we'll
because of the
try it.
spacing of the studs.
Jack, would you volunteer?
I did.
You did, well, okay, double volunteer then.
Yeah, I've got commercial and general FCC licenses,
No,
and I've worked, you know.
no, I know that, but I know, if you could possibly, have you been down there? Down to the school?
He's been in there before, but not since.
Not since the remodeling. What I'm suggesting is maybe you and the chief go down there as a,
I could go home and get a couple UHF radios.
and test them.
And test them out there, see how well they work.
That
That's
might
what
be
VHF
a
won't work
solution.
well
That would
with
probably
all
be
the
the ideal
studs.
situation. Yeah, if it works.
The other
yeah,
one to call
it
Dave
works.
would be Latimus.
Okay, all right, I'll try that.
Latimus
Well, we're
Communications.
gonna try this first.
Yep, yep.
There's a place down in Vanport too that has.
That one isn't that where Vericom moved? It
No,
used-
I
it
think
used-
Latimus.
I know where he's talking.
I can't think of the name.
It used to be
Interstate.
Yeah, I think it's Latimus now.
Staley still around?
They're called something.
Vericom.
Vericom, Staley County Vericom.
As I stated before, my only problem with this is it's getting slapped into the chief's job, and I really don't think this is his job. I think this is that school's job. I appreciate what you're doing,
We'll try to
and I
figure it
certainly appreciate what you're going to do, because officer safety is first. But this, I think they're very unfair, that school. Okay, Mr. Costello, you had a remark.
Yes, there was a lawsuit filed probably 20 years ago against Anthony Wayne Terrace. Why aren't your people enforcing it? They probably owe us $125,000 because of the water assessment. They don't buy paid water, they get assessed.
I think this has been answered 15 times.
You gave me copies of that, if you remember. I still remember, it was, pages were missing. It was, quite frankly, it would take me some time to go up here and research all that.
That was done in the 50s, John.
But it appeared, and I have to say, it looked like that was a agreement where they had to pay so much, and then they were going to let them go ahead and pay their money instead of going through Baden direct to Ambridge, if I remember correctly. Do you have any better copies of that stuff? I'm not being funny, I mean, do you?
I thought, isn't there an ordinance that they have to buy Baden water or they're assessed?
No.
It looked to
Just
me
so the
like
They
residents,
live
there
on
was,
straight
because
from
I know you're all,
Ambridge.
make sure the residents are aware. We do not supply Anthony Wayne Terrace with their
Yeah,
water.
that's,
Ambridge Water Authority has a pipe that feeds them directly from the other side, and they bill, Ambridge bills them directly, and then what they do is they send me a copy, our office, a copy of the Ambridge water bill, so we can bill them for sewage, because their sewage does go through our system. But Baden Borough does not service their water lines, they don't service, I think, their fire hydrants, nothing, it's all, it's all private.
That's all
Yeah,
private.
that's all private property, so in no way do we service them water.
Isn't there an ordinance that says they have to pay a certain percentage?
no.
No, that was a one-time agreement that they had for.
And I believe that agreement was made in the 50s, like 1957, something. I don't have the
And it is
paperwork.
the same situation with the gentleman, he can't get water from Ambridge in Economy Borough, so we are offering it with their approval of Economy and Ambridge.
Okay. Did somebody want to go into executive session this evening? No. It's on here. Okay, because it's on here.
My bad.
That's
I did that
okay,
last
that's
time, too.
okay, that's a good one. Okay, is there any other further, if there's no other
business to come before us, so can I have a motion to
Hold on, I
adjourn?
think the mayor, did you have something?
Did
to say?
you have
I was
some?
gonna ask Elaine on this new McDonald's
Yes.
with new building permits and.
Yes.
Right.
Are we gonna benefit anything
Okay.
tax-wise or?
We have a third party. Under the law, it's the Uniform Construction Code. And you have to have somebody certified, obviously, to do that. So we're such a small municipality, to pay a full-time position, to fill that position, isn't feasible. So we hire an outside company, which is building inspector underwriters. And they bill whatever fees they have. We get 10%. So the borough is not out to make money off of improvements for our community. So, you know, we get $10 for every $100 in their permit fees. They use their own, they use their own engineers, they use everything, that's all on their end.
But obviously, their taxes will go up because it'll be a new building, so.
Correct.
That's what
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they're tax exempt.
Yeah.
McDonald's won't.
McDonald's is not tax
Unfortunately,
exempt.
Not to be
That's
taxed exempt.
The only other thing I had is, could we get the the solicitor to look into this payment in lieu of taxes for all the nonprofits?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Because we discussed that, was that Monday or Wednesday, we discussed.
Monday.
Right now, the only nonprofit that pays is the plaza down there. But
And they're not paying
everything
what they
else in
cost.
town that uses our services contributes nothing. And
But we sure,
Churches and all
Yeah.
that.
sure can give you a list.
so, I mean, obviously, it's not gonna make us millions, but every little bit. will.
Every little bit, you're right, so right.
So I'll make that a motion to have the engineer or the solicitor look into the payment in lieu of taxes.
I need a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion's carried.
Judy, I want to thank you.
Pardon me?
You back down, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
I'd like to thank the police department for holding out for the last couple of years without part-time help. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it. We have what we think we need, let's keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you, appreciate it.
And I know the people appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Okay.
If there's nothing further this evening, can I
Motion to
have-
adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.